Hey, what's up? Today I'm going to show you a full infield pull of my own from start to finish with breakdown where I explain to you exactly why I do what I do. So the first thing you're going to see here is actually difficult to see, but I do want you to notice it. You won't see a lot of image on it. What you hear is a little bit of sound. And what happened here is I'm walking through the club with my cameraman and this girl walks by and I try and open her. I try and get her attention and she basically blows me off. So you'll just basically hear me open and then that's that. It's done. But the point here is twofold. Number one, understand that this set did not start well. It started with me not even being given the time of day. It started with me being blatantly ignored. The other point I want to make to you, though, is that I wasn't stupid about it. A lot of guys would have done one of two things. Either because the girl blew them out in the first place, would never have approached again or never made another try. It was kind of a quick blowout. She barely turned and looked at me and kept going. So a lot of guys would just give up there. They'd be like, oh, she rejected me. On the other hand, a lot of guys would get indignant or they'd try and follow up right then and there very hard. And at that moment, we've just been blown out and she's walking away quickly, your odds of getting success are very, very low, right? In this case, we're in a nightclub, it's a contained environment. Unless she's literally rushing for the door, I'm gonna have an opportunity to bump back into her again very soon, especially if I'm walking the same direction as her. So there's no rush. I can open again under better circumstances later, so that's what I did, is I didn't force anything. I didn't make it extra weird and awkward. I just played it cool, no big deal, and then I happened to see her a few minutes later, and then that's where you'll see it pick up. But right now, I'm just gonna show you that initial open and blowout. And again, not even show you, but more like you'll be able to hear it, because the image is, you know, the focus isn't even really on me at this moment, but just listen. A bit more of an uphill battle than I prefer. Hello. So you see there, just tried to open, hello, no response, no big deal, on to the next. Also no big positive reaction. If anything, I sound bored. I'm like, oh, okay, yawn. Okay, she didn't turn around, no big deal. It's not that big of a deal. It's just one approach out of the night, one approach out of my life, on to the next. And again, if I'm gonna approach her again, I'm gonna do it in a strategic, smart way. So I'm actually gonna wait for her to stop and I'll re-engage later, if at all. So it just happens that maybe, I think it was about 10 minutes later or so, I've been walking around looking at other things and I ended up opening this girl again just because. But now, instead of it being a situation where she's walking and it's difficult and she barely acknowledges me, she was actually stationary, so the set itself was much easier. So now you're gonna see my approach. So what you're gonna see here in particular is this girl's gonna give a lot of shit tests. This is an extremely confident girl. It's a girl who is not only very attractive and was even probably more attractive when she was younger, and she's also had a lot of success in life. She's been treated very well in life. She has a lot of confidence, both physically and also emotionally, intelligence-wise, that kind of stuff. So she very much is of the frame of like, prove yourself to me. And she's very much of the frame of like, you're hitting on me, don't bullshit me, that kind of thing. And so what I want you to see here is how I avoid those frames, turn those frames around, manage to outvalue those frames. But throughout the whole thing, I'm not fighting it. It's never this combative, forceful thing. Because as soon as you're directly confronting someone's frame, then it's this like aggressive, negative energy. And that never leads anywhere. Because even if you win there, everybody loses. So you have to stay positive. You have to stay nonchalant about the whole thing. But at the same time, you do need to create a frame that's good for you. So watch as I deal with a ton of shit tests. Excuse me, I hate to bother you. I have to go in a sec. I'm usually overwhelming, but I don't usually have quite that big an effect on a girl, whatever. Okay, so what have you seen so far? I walked in, gave a false time constraint because she'd already rejected me before. I didn't want to go in super hard or super direct just in case. And then I kind of surprised her. And what did I do? I misinterpreted her surprise as a compliment. Misinterpreted it as though she was overwhelmed, attracted by me, that sort of thing, right? So I'm just like assuming a little bit of arrogance, assuming a good positive frame for myself instead of a neutral frame or a negative frame. You, like I said, I was about to bounce, but you have a very classy look, so if I didn't at least find out if you're as cool as you are stylish, I would be remiss in my duties as a man. Now here, because she's given me a bit of a positive reaction, I have no problem with going a little bit direct and just putting it out there. So I do that. However, I try and do it in a more interesting, more classy way than just, haha, you're hot, right? I try and add a little bit of my own flavor, add a little bit to it.
You're gonna bounce me?
I was gonna bounce myself.
Oh, so I'm like the last ditch effort of.
So I'm like the last ditch effort of the night or whatever she's gonna say. So what's she doing here? She's framing it as I'm that loser that couldn't get any girls, so I'm hitting on her on the way out the door, right? That's not a very positive frame. So obviously I want to avoid that. But again, remember whenever you get shit tests are a positive. A girl will not shit test you unless you're on some level relevant. So as much as it's annoying, as much as it's difficult, understand that it's positive and take it as such. I mean, there's lots of girls here, but not any that particularly tickle my fancy at the moment. But you looked interesting and intriguing.
Oh, well, thank you for that, but I'm actually not available.
So reframed, not a big deal, et cetera, and then what she come back with? I'm actually not available, right? So this is another like, sorry, I know you're hitting on me, I'm not available. Another out frame, another you're trying for something kind of a thing, right? So again, negative frames. For what, dear? So my answer, not available, I'm like, for what, dear? Right? Because what is the implication? The implication of not available means I'm thinking of you in a sexual way, right? So I just reframe it as though it's her idea. So assumptive. What is your name? I'm Todd. I think we should take things slow and not be like defining the parameters of what we're available for just yet. Right, and so now again, outframing it being a step ahead, right? I'm acknowledging the forwardness of her frame. Because I mean, she's completely right, really. Like I am hitting on her, right? But she doesn't have, that doesn't need to be pointed out. It doesn't need to be like that. And it doesn't need to be so logical, right? If anything, most guys are too logical. I'm getting away from logical. She's trying to be logical. I'm making it fun and emotional and not a big deal, which is the frame you want to set. I mean, I've only just met you.
Yeah, on the way out.
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
And that's a great one. If a girl gives you some vague shit test, a shit test by implication, just make her spell it out. What does that mean? Make her spell it out. Because the funny thing is a lot of these like little snarky shit tests, they're very effective because they're very subtle and they're very not try hard on her part. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually make her spell them out, then she has to sound like a bitch or she has to sound really socially uncalibrated. And so it a lot of times will make her backtrack, right? And that's what it did here. If I was in that particular mood, I wouldn't be on the way out.
Oh, well,
You know what I mean?
don't know.
But what is your story? Because you do have an intriguing look. Part of me is like, this girl could be a cool badass. Part of me is like, this girl could be like the biggest like, I don't know, bad news that I've seen in quite some time. So.
Yeah.
So again, notice my framing of everything. My framing of everything is I'm the buyer and she should be selling herself. I never, ever, ever am selling myself, right? I'm being fun. I'm offering value. I am selling myself obliquely, but it's not telling, it's showing, right? It's not telling her I'm amazing. It's showing her I'm amazing, while if anything, telling her the opposite or telling her I'm not trying hard. Okay, so it's always buyer frame. And it just subtly permeates everything I do. It's why I can have almost the same conversation as a normal guy, but just all the little subtle elements of my conversation are constantly saying like, I'm the shit, I'm the shit, I'm the shit. You have to win me over. I'm not that like affected by you. I'm the shit, I'm the shit, right? So, but it's not that blatant. It's not just in your face. It's subtly in little bits over an extended period of time.
That could be either or for sure. I'm actually all good. My friends had a birthday, and so
you got invited. Okay, so here, I'm actually all good. My friends had a birthday. I'm starting to think good things here, right? She put birthday in the past tense. She's by herself and not with her friends. Like, I'm starting to think logistics. And when I'm thinking about a girl, whether it's going to go down, I'm thinking, how hot is she? How into me does she seem? How good are the logistics? This girl's hot. Logistics are starting to seem good. She doesn't seem that into me yet, but that's the least important of the three because I have a lot of confidence in myself. I have a lot of confidence I can turn that one around. So she's hot and logistics are good. I like my odds, and they're starting to look really good.
no, I didn't get invited. We had the birthday together, and it just so happened that we all left in different phases, and so I'm in the last phase.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, all her friends left. She's the last one there. Okay, we have a winner, right? And she's now opened up to me. She is now qualifying herself to me a little bit. Like, this looks very good. What started out as like shit test, shit test, shit test, frame control, ignore from the start, right? All of a sudden looks really good. And why is that? It's because of the subtle framing. It's because of the fact I didn't give a shit, right? And I just kept good humor. I kept offering value, but in not a try hard way. Not in a I have to have you way, not in a please accept me kind of way. Value from a higher frame. I guess a higher value frame, you could say. That's funny, value from a higher value frame, meaning I'm offering a lot to her, but I'm offering to her from this position of I have so much to offer, it's not even a big deal. As opposed to offering a lot from a position of I'm low value and I'm trying really hard to offer you value, in which case it's needy, try hard, she'll tend to distrust it, that sort of thing.
That's fine, so I'm about to catch a lift.
Fair enough.
What are you doing?
I was about to go eat.
Eat what?
Okay, now here this is interesting. Eat what? Now, so now I have a choice. I have a choice to either try and pull her for food right now, or at least make that engagement, or I have a choice to kind of blow that off, like pretend that that's not even really a thing, and just continue the conversation. But what's dicey is I don't want to make a big deal about the fact that I'm going to eat if I don't think I can take her with me. So I kind of have to make a judgment call here. I judge that it's going really well, and so I throw out where I was going to eat. But I try and keep it casual so I can backtrack if I have to. Also, a little note, which I'll make in more detail in a minute. The food pull is not something I particularly love, but because this is a quick interaction, I prefer the food pull to no pull. Or I prefer the food pull to sitting around in the club for an extended period of time under certain circumstances. So I'll get into that more later, but that's another part of this decision is, do I want to pull her for food or not, right? Don't just think about how do I get to the next step. Think about, is the next step getting you all the way there? Because there are a lot of times where you can get from A to B, but B is a total dead end to getting to Z. Right? And you want to be very aware of that. You don't want to trap yourself. So the pull for food can sometimes be a trap, and I want to avoid that. There's a little diner around here that I go to late at night. It's not bad, like or whatever. It's pretty good. Yeah.
I know. It's delicious.
Okay, so that's a pretty good indicator. When I talk about seeding the pull, you throw out possible pull options to see what she responds to. She goes, it's delicious, right? That's good, right? So that's an indicator that may be a good pull. So now the real decision is, do I try and pull her there or not? And I think that there's a good chance that I can. She's already indicated she's leaving. It's a pretty positive interaction. I think there's a good chance it could happen. The real question for me is there more value in pulling for food or in not pulling for food? And I'll tell you that personally, I'm a huge not fan of the food pull in general. Especially if it's been a good set, if it's pretty on, if there's been some intimacy, sexuality, physicality, I think that a lot of times the food pull just moves things backwards because it's a situation where it's much more casual. It's not a very sexy environment. You're both eating food, so you feel less sexy as well. And you're also on a constrained time period against yourself, meaning like you're there and you're waiting for food and then you're waiting for the check, and you can't just leave at the optimal moment if you'd like to. So you're stuck with this long interaction where things can tend to stale out and whatnot. So I'm not a huge fan of the food pull in sets that are already good and have gone for a while. However, this one's so fast, I think that the food pull might be a good excuse to just get to know her. A better plan even than that, potentially, would be to move her around in the bar, get a drink with her, etc. The downside of that is you might miss the pull entirely, and there's other distractions and things that can come up. Whereas if you pull for food, then it's all completely on you. The positive of staying there longer is you can build more sort of intimacy in that, or a more sort of sexual vibe in that club environment than you can in a diner. So there's pros and cons of both. In this case, I decided the diner was a good bet because it had been a quick set and all that. It's not bad. As late night food goes, I can't complain. So I was gonna go grab a bite. If you're hungry-ish and would like to join me, you can. Although I do want you to know that were we to grab bites together, I don't want you to have like expectations because I'm And here, this is big. Whenever you're escalating, that's a good time for a disqualifier, right? Because if you're escalating a lot and you're very forward about it, it tends to look needy. But if you're escalating with a disqualifier, then a lot of times you can keep your value while still making the effort. This is a lot of times why when you open, you use the false time constraint, because the open's an escalation, false time constraint's a disqualifier, so it kind of balances out. I am a gentleman and a shy boy, and I need trust, comfort, and connection.
So if we ate together, that would be end all be all. Like we could then assume the next phase of whatever we're going to take.
All right, and so now she's getting all cocky or coquettish. We could assume the next phase and stuff like that. So she's actually making advances now because I framed it really well. And so now I'm going to kind of play it down a little bit, but keep the momentum going, at least in terms of the logistical stuff. There doesn't have to be a next phase. Put it this way. If I eat alone, I might be bored. If I eat with someone interesting, I would be entertained. If I eat with someone boring, I'd rather eat alone. Nice frame, right? Don't bore me, right? I'm not just into you because you're a girl. I'm into you if you don't bore me, right? It's always she has to win me over. I'm not that easy. I'm not that desperate. I have options, right? If you're going to be boring, I'd prefer to eat alone, right? And just say that. It's a little harsh, but for a high-value guy, it actually should be honest as well. So, but you seem entertaining, so.
Why don't we go have a bite?
I'm okay with that. Right, and now she suggested the thing, and I said I'm okay with that. How much better is that than if I was trying to push for it and she's objecting, right? How good is this frame right now? How nicely is this going to go? And the nice thing is because she's the one that kind of like, she's a participant in the poll. I won't say she fully suggested, but she partially did at least. Now this poll, I don't have to like work to keep it good the whole way. I don't have to work to keep her body temperature up. I can just sit back, be normal, and she's already kind of agreed to go with me because I didn't just get an emotional decision, I got a logical decision, and I got her to actually take action helping out. That's so, so, so critical. Shall we?
Yeah.
And there we go. That fast, we're on our way out the door. How hard was that? And this is a girl that rejected me in the first place. Just goes to show the power of a strong frame and passing shit tests. And that's how valuable shit tests are, right? When a girl shit tests you, it gives you this opportunity to show her honest signals and immediately convey your personality so fast. That's why you can get these really fast pulls. Usually when I get fast pulls, especially fast pulls that lead to sex, there are a lot of shit tests up front. Because it's like a girl's going to give you a certain amount of resistance throughout the set. If she gives it all in the first 30 seconds or a minute, well, now it's smooth sailing the rest of the way. A lot of girls, they spread it out over a long period of time. You don't really know where you stand nearly as quickly. So I actually like it when girls give me a lot of shit tests up front. I'm also very good at shit tests, as you can tell. So that helps. You're,
What do you say your first name was again?
Todd. I didn't tell you actually yet.
Hi, thank you.
Pleasure. So should I hail the Uber?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would they do that? How rude.
Huh?
How rude.
I know.
You must have a bad rating. Do you abuse the Uber drivers? So now you'll notice I've skipped ahead here. We're about to get in the Uber, and then you're going to see us at the diner and forward from there. And it's kind of post-pull now, so I'm not going to show you like the entirety of it. Most of it is excruciatingly boring get-to-know-you stuff, which when I watched it, I kind of wanted to blow my own brains out. But it's important because this is where you develop trust, comfort, connection, establish yourself as a normal person, etc. What you want to be doing is a lot of just get to know you stuff, conveying your personality, talking the same way you would with people that are your friends, with a girlfriend, like a girl who's already your girlfriend, that kind of stuff. But you do want to sprinkle in elements of intent. So what I'm going to show you now is a little bit of that get to know you. Mostly I'm going to show you just a few little elements of intent. And then you're going to see the way that I structure the close, and then us actually like leaving the diner, etc. So from here, I'm going to mostly just play it, and then I'll give you a summary at the end. This might be a Honda Civic. Could be.
What's your name?
Are you on it?
No, that's me. Ciao.
That's you?
That's us, yeah.
Have a great night.
You too?
Oh, that might be your guy right there.
That's me.
Hi.
Hi, this is Todd.
Hi, Todd.
She looks like no Todd you've ever met, but trust me, she is.
Where did you come from? You just invited me to have breakfast with you.
You know. I figured worst case, if you were weird, I could leave, so you know. The risk wasn't too strong. Turned out to be relatively charming.
Can be kind of charming. My strategy is to offend, and then the ones that are still standing are cool.
That's one way to go.
Alright, where they're like,
That's what I was gonna say about me. I had enough like gumption and like self-esteem to like not crumble in front of the laser eyes.
laser eyes. I do not have laser eyes.
I like that out of all that, that's what you like took, my little like metaphor.
Yeah. No. Actually, I like the word gumption. I've been told I have gumption.
It's a good word. Doesn't get used enough these days.
Or moxie.
That's a word that, like that's a grandpa word right there. It's a good word, but it's definitely a grandpa word.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know anyone under the age of like 70 who uses the word mox. So that's pretty interesting, right? She basically said what I told you, which is she gives a lot of shit tests early on, but then if you can stay standing, then that proves you're cool, and that's exactly what she did. So apparently she knows her own blueprint. So whether that's good or bad, who knows? But she knows it. Let's you and I try and have a life in an interaction where there's no necessity for lies, okay?
There you go. Yeah, I don't do that. So you better come clean right now. What is your intention, friend?
Is that a like serious question? Okay. That's like the like father with the shotgun question right there. What are your intentions for my daughter?
Well,
I should be asking you that because you're the you're the more worldly wise one in this interaction. Okay, so notice a few things. Notice there is a little bit of flirtation there. It's still kept a little more interesting than normal conversation, but it is very normal. There's also a lot of pauses. The energy is much lower. It's much more relaxed. It's not try hard in any way. So notice that, right? Notice there still is man to woman there, but it's not blatant. It's not over the top. I'm not hitting on her super hard. Maintaining my frame, having a good time. And the conversation just has to be 10% more interesting, 10% more sexual than usual. It doesn't have to be over the top. It's just a little sprinkle will do.
super single.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I'm gonna give a little profile, and the reason I kept this in is I want you to really understand a little bit about female psychology. She's gonna really outline the idea that she's out to have fun. She's not necessarily looking for anything serious. She understands herself. She's okay with that. And if I try and get all serious and like all like logical, it's gonna be a huge turnoff. So this is great just to hear her spell out these ideas.
Super not ready for anything. Like, it's funny. Actually, I have boys that are mad at me. They're like looking for the one. I'm like, listen. Just getting out of a. So why the fuck do I think you were the one? I'm actually a little bit bitter and completely not ready. First and foremost. And I like to have fun. So you're out by yourself this evening?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just want to go out and nobody else wants to, so you say, fuck it, I'll go by myself. I met some really cool people, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, I met you, and it was all downhill from there, but, you know, here I am. Yeah, no, it's been fun. Can't complain too much.
They say complaining is saying prayers to the devil.
Saying prayers to the devil is what you said? That's cute. Fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
you weren't too boring. I haven't exactly hated hanging out with you thus far.
There you go. You don't sound bitter at all.
Who, me?
No, I'm teasing. Who was your last relationship?
Say who or when or what? What'd you say?
When was
When was my last relationship? So let's do this. Come have a quick drink, and then I will send you home. I don't technically have to go to bed early, but I should go to bed early, so I'm not gonna stay up super long or late. But you're amusing. I enjoy you.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so notice there, I'm making the offer, but it's still very casual. It's not a big deal. That's important. Okay. None of this is ever a big deal. It's all like one step leads to the next. I'm not trying to sell the whole thing. I'm just getting her to the next step and the next step. And it's always casual. It's always high value. It's always not a big deal. It's always if you need to go, you can. It's always this is totally normal, that kind of stuff. That frame is so important. And I'm not doing a lot in this set. I'm really not doing a lot, but the things I'm doing subtly well. Right? And that's what girls pick up on are the subtle cues. It's not the overt things. It's not the big things you're saying. I haven't really done or said anything that insanely like cool or amazing in the set, but what have I done? Every time she's challenged me, every time there's been a chance for me to convey myself, I've done it in a way that's just a little cooler, a little more high value, a little less reactive, a little more in my frame, and it adds up. I actually don't even know. I'm gonna look at what kind of car.
You use Uber, right?
Yeah, Toyota Camry. Looks like a Toyota Camry.
Oh, how are you this evening? Thank goodness somebody's okay to drive.
That makes like one of us. She seem all right.
I'm okay.
And away we go. So what do you see there? You see a lot of really good frames. You see how to pass shit tests. You see how to keep the logistics moving, but in a very non-try-hard way. Couple other big takeaways from this. Be strategic, right? There are times when you'll want to pull for food. There are times when you won't. And sometimes it's better to not pull and stay longer in order to pull on better terms. And sometimes it's better to pull and have the one-on-one time and be able to build comfort. So that's a judgment call you have to make. Notice how once I was in a one-on-one environment, the energy went way down. I didn't have to be try-hard. It wasn't really a big deal. And notice all the subtle little frames, right? I'm not doing any big, impressive, crazy stuff, but everything I do has this like quality to it. It has this like subtle, like I call it like the subtle elegance of me almost. It's like I'm subtly just conveying that. It's like you can tell the difference between like a Rolls Royce and like a Hyundai. You just can, right? It's in the subtle detail work. You can't really put your finger on that it's this one feature that sets them apart. It's not one feature. It's not one feature that like one has an engine and the other doesn't or something like that. It's just the Rolls Royce just has everything a little bit better. Like it's a better finish. It's a better engine. It's a better steering wheel. It's a better seat. It's just everything's a little better. It's not that anything's so insanely better, but it just adds up, and you can tell it just has that feel of luxury and quality. And that's how I want a girl to feel when she's with me. So I want her to feel like she's just with a man of quality. And so all these little subtle things matter and they add up. It's 1% here, 1% there, but over the course of an hour or two, it adds up to hundreds of percentage points, which means you're going to get very consistent, very, very good results. All right? So that's what I really want you to see. Also interesting to note the girl's attitude, right? How open and cool she is about sex and how it's not a big deal. If you're really in that frame where you're not judging and you're conveying that, she'll fall into that frame too. If you're conveying judgmental frames and acting like a white knight and acting like, you don't want her to be slutty, then she won't. Girls are very, very good at pinging off you and taking what you give them. So be sure that you're conveying the right messages.